to our very first episode of Movie Madness Spotlight, where we'll be taking a closer look at my favorite movies, and any guests that I bring in would be their favorite movies. So, the movie I want to look at today is one of my top three favorite movies. Easy. Alright? The movie I'm talking about is none other than The Terminator. I love this cover. Check that out. And then, obviously, you have the classic one underneath that. Released in 1984, the movie came out of a fever dream that James Cameron had. And he worked on it with Galen Hurd to become to fruition, till it became the movie that we know, that we love. It's under budget, and which I think actually works in its favor. It gives it that gritty noir feel, and it's just the perfect movie for a 1984 sci-fi movie, in my opinion. Just the story alone, okay? You have a cybernetic organism, a Terminator, right? It's, the machine looks like a man, comes back to, present day, which was then, and to hunt down a waitress because her unborn son is going to be the leader of the resistance. And that's just, it's just that concept alone is great on so many levels, because it gives you the ability to shoot what you want. Yes, this guy's a robot, but he looks like a man, And then you take somebody who seems like she would just be a regular, everyday person, and that's what they do very well in her waitress scene. A kid dumps ice cream in her apron, and she's just living an everyday, mundane life, and yet this one person is she's the most important person on the planet at that moment in time. She's the most important person. And then you have the lone soldier who comes back from the future to save her, sent by her son. Honestly, I think that The Terminator is probably the greatest shoestring paradox on film that we've ever seen. It's just perfect in every way. So obviously we see the Terminator comes back in just a really cool scene. The time portal opens up. Steals some clothes, goes about and killing the other Sarah Connors. Becomes dubbed the phone book killer. Real quick by the news. And we also see Michael Biehn, who comes back as my boy Kyle Reese, and I just love. At first, I think Michael Biehn is actually an extremely underrated actor. Period. But I think this along with I don't know, maybe Abyss and Tombstone are definitely his best. But this is my favorite role of his, because he plays Kyle Reese just perfect. Like, you really you get sucked into it, and you believe that he is from the future, that he has seen these future wars play out, that he knows what's going on. He knows that this machine will stop at nothing to kill Sarah. And he plays that, he gives off that desperation so well. And speaking of, when I used the word noir earlier, the scene at the club, Tech Noir, is, I feel like, and someone, you go ahead in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there hadn't been a scene quite like that, but then there were so many scenes after that were just like that. Like, a lot of it was in slow-mo, it just, the angles, everything about it is perfect. It's one of the coolest scenes, and as soon as the action pops off, it's it's fast, it's going, it's back in real time again, and um, it's just all about it is so good, and that's you get to hear call me if you want to live. It's just it's it Terminator is just it's the perfect action sci-fi movie if you really think about it. All right. Just cast a while. Obviously, we know all the main casts as well. Paul Winfield as Trexler was, I think, a delight. Obviously he kind of had a hard grizzle cop to him, but he almost had like a carefree, like chill, relax, we'll do this stuff to him. He was a really cool character. Lance Henriksen played Vukovic, who also he tried out for the Terminator, but was told he wasn't physically intimidating enough, which I get. And I think he is an intimidating actor, but imposing stature that he doesn't have. Rick Rosovich and Bess Moda played Matt and Ginger, who ended up being just fodder for the Terminator, unfortunately. And then we had Earl Bowen as Dr. Silberman, who obviously was so key in that movie that they felt it was pertinent to bring him back for the second one. We also had Dick Miller, Brian Thompson, and just the ever-perfect Bill Paxton as the gun shop owner and the punks, respectively. Again, more fodder for the Terminator to be killed. We're talking about the Terminator, and this movie is it's literally 40 years old. I'm not giving anything away when we talk about the end. We finally see all the skin burn away, and we get to see the endoskeleton, the T-800. Its leg is damaged, so it's got that limp, and it's going after Kyle and Sarah. Goes into the machine factory. Kyle gives his life, which I've watched this movie my entire life, and when that part happens, I always feel this piece of me just break inside, where I'm like, no, why did Kyle have to die? It always breaks my heart, but obviously it's so necessary. And then we know the Terminator, only its torso left, crawling after Sarah, which is part of the fever dream that James Cameron had, that he turned into this movie. What he said he saw in his dream was this torso, no leg, the legs blown up, crawling with knives in its hands after, not after, but crawling away from an explosion. So this is the movie he created out of it. So, and she crushes in the hydraulic press, and then we see her later on, fleeing to Mexico, going off grid, and she's pregnant. And again, that's just another shoestring paradox where your mind just, it's like, John Connor sent his own father back in time to save himself. It's just it's so great. The movie's perfect on every level, in my opinion. So, come back Wednesdays. We talk, look at this. See all these movies? I'm sitting in this library of movies. This is 2/3 of it. Something like that. I don't know. And there's more you can't even see off camera. And then I got another thing in another part of the house. We got movies after movies after movies to go over. Subscribe, share, watch everything else. We're trying to do lots and lots of content. So we got Todd and Joe got a morning show on Mondays. We got Wrestle Fandom on Tuesdays. Now you got this on Wednesdays. All right. We will see you next time. Bye, nerd.